friends, Assalamu alaikum to all of you. Our today's topic is transport in plants part 2. Before this we have uploaded transport in plants, but sorry, it was part 1, I forgot to write. Now we have to know today's topic is imbibition, transpiration and mass flow hypothesis. First of all, we will try to know what is imbibition. Imbibition. As far imbibition is concerned, it is a special type of diffusion in which a solid or a colloid absorbs water, and eventually when it absorbs water, it leads to increase in volume. For example, when we take dry wood, we will keep it in water and it will absorb water, and automatically its volume will increase. For example, we will take a seed and we will keep it in water. This seed, when it will absorb water, then its volume increases. And when it absorbs water, its volume increases and automatically it is converted to a plant. It was a short term. Then we will proceed towards bulk flow or mass flow. So what is bulk flow? We know when any plant part transports food or other substances to the other part. One part transports food or other substances to the other part in large amount, or we can say in large quantities. It is called bulk flow or mass flow. Then we will see in what way this flow takes place. Basically, we should know what are the functions of vascular system. That means in vascular system we have included xylem and phloem. We know in vascular tissues there are included xylem and phloem. But what is their function? What is the function of xylem? We know that xylem and phloem are present in plants. What is the function of xylem? Its function is transport of water and minerals. Transport of water and minerals. And what is the function of phloem? Its function is transport of food. Transport of food. So we know that these vascular system plays a vital role in the transport system. So plants, we know that when we will see how do plants absorb water. Because plants absorb water, we know these absorb water through roots. For example, it is a root and it is outermost layer, and these are root hairs. There is, and we know this is outermost layer and it is called epidermis. And there are some cells which make the cortex region like this. And these cells have intercellular spaces. These cells are root hairs. It is epidermis and this is cortex region. Cortex region. Now we know that plants absorb water. But in what way they absorb water? They absorb water and minerals through root hairs. For example, it is a plant here. It has root hairs. These root hairs absorb. Root hair absorbs water. But we know that when root hair absorbs water, it will go inside them. That means it goes inside roots. So cortex region is formed inside roots of the cells. When roots absorb water, it will directly go to roots. It means that there is any type of transport. So this transport system is of two ways. There is a two-way transport. Transport system is of two ways. First one is called apoplast pathway. Apoplast pathway. Second one is called simplast pathway. But in case of apoplast pathway, when water flows through water comes in roots, it flows through intercellular spaces. I have already told you there are intercellular spaces. Intercellular spaces. So water comes in roots and it flows through intercellular spaces. And we know that there is no barrier. So this process is quite faster because it has no barrier. So it is called apoplast. Then there is another pathway which we call as simplast. Simplast. In case of simplast, here water crosses cell membrane. So it is a slow process. Water crosses cell membrane. It is a slow process. Crosses cell membrane. Crosses cell membrane. And as compared to apoplast, it is slow process because it has to cross membrane. And then when water comes a bit, so in case of simplast pathway, I told you that this water has to cross cell membrane. So it is a slow process as compared to simplast. So we know that what is this barrier? There is a barrier. But what is this barrier? There is barrier present. Barrier present. But what is this barrier? I told you when water comes a bit inside cells, there is a layer which we call as endodermis layer. Which we called as endodermis layer. And this endodermis layer is present there. Inside endodermis is a waxy layer which is made up of suberin. Inside endodermis is a waxy layer which we call as, which is made up of suberin. Made up of suberin. For example, it is endodermis layer and it is made up of suberin. And there is a strip present here which we call as Casparian strip. Casparian strip. And this inside endodermis is a layer which is made up of suberin. It is called as Casparian strip. Casparian citrus. But this Casparium, where is this Casparium citrus present? We know that this Casparium citrus is present in the endodermis of roots. It is present in the endodermis of roots. After that, we know that some plants there is diversity in plants, and some plants are such which need other factors to absorb water easily. For example, in case of mycorrhiza. So what is mycorrhiza? We know that it is a symbiotic relationship between higher plants and fungi. Roots of the higher plants and fungi. But the symbiotic association means these plants depend upon each other, and these cannot complete their life cycle without each other. So roots of higher plants cannot collect all nutrients from soil individually. So fungus provides nutrition to roots, that is provides nitrogen containing compounds to higher plants. But what is the function of roots? These roots provide energy resources. For example, sugar to fungus. For example, in case of pinus in gymnosperms. Then there is root pressure. Root pressure. A root pressure. So what is this root pressure? How this root pressure is helpful to transport water in different parts of the plants, and what is their work? We know that the roots which are present in the soil, they will absorb water and they will absorb minerals. But when this water enters into the root cells, pressure will be generated there. But on the other side, pressure will be low. On one side, pressure will be low, and on another side, it will be very high. Due to this high pressure, it creates a pressure gradient. Pressure due to the high pressure, it creates a pressure gradient. So because of this pressure gradient, when it creates a pressure gradient, we know that as the result of pressure gradient, also it creates a movement in water, or we can say ions. So there will be osmosis. That means movement of water from higher concentration to lower concentration. Movement of water from higher concentration to lower concentration. Then there is guttation. So what is guttation? Guttation is the loss of water in liquid from aerial parts of the plant. Loss of water in liquid from the aerial parts of plant. But in what way it is seen? It is seen in early morning, or we can say it is seen in late night when evaporation rate is high. Then there is transpiration. So we know that loss of water in the form of vapors. Transpiration is the loss of water in the form of vapors from the surface of leaf in presence of sunlight. Then we know that transpiration is the loss of water in the form of vapors from the surface of leaf in presence of light. But we know that leaves need water and for photosynthesis, because food formation takes place in leaves. So leaves want to get this water, but they know that we have to absorb this water from roots, because roots have water. So when roots water towards their cell, and it is called when leaves pull water forcibly, it is called cohesion. For example, I will write here, it is called cohesion. Cohesion tension. Transpiration pull model. Transpiration pull model. So what is this cohesion tension transpiration pull model? This cohesion means these water molecules attract each other. Between them, so they have force of attraction. Water molecules attract each other, or we can say the molecules have force of attraction between them. Then there is tension. Tension we consider as, we can say it is liquid, and in case of liquid, they attract each other in liquid. Attract each other in liquid form. In liquid phase more than solid phase. Liquid form or phase, or we can say phase than solid phase, But transpiration pool, I have told you, when these leaves need water, as a result of transpiration they lose water when they need water, and they create a transpiration pool. So we can say it is transpiration pool. Then there is how this transpiration takes place. Then what are these? There are present trachea. So what is this trachea? We know that it is component of xylem. Which is responsible for transport of water. Responsible for transport of water, and also these tracheids check the water molecules. Now we will see how transpiration takes place. For example, I will give here the structure of cytomata, but this cytomata is structure of open cytomata. As before this, I have told you that this cytomata is bean shaped. Like this, and bean shaped. And we know that there are chloroplasts. These are chloroplasts. Then there are cytometal poles. And in surrounding there are cells which we call as subsidiary cells. In this way. Subsidiaries. These are subsidiary cells. Now we know that these are God cells and these have cytometal pores. And these have some surrounding cells which we call as subsidiary cells, and collectively it is called cytometal apparatus. Cytometal apparatus. This structure is open stomata and it has more concentration of water. So when water enters in the gourd cells, when water enters in the gourd cells, when water enters in the gourd cells, it swells and cytomata opens. Cytomata opens. Wall inside cytomata, this wall inside cytomata, it is very thick. Thick wall inside cytomata, but its outer wall is thin. Outer wall is thin, so that opening and closing of cytomata will be easy in gourd cells. Now inside the gourd cells are microfibrils, and they are all microfibrils. Microfibrils. So these microfibrils control, or we can say regulate, the opening and closing of cytomata. Microfibrils regulate, or we can say control the opening and closing of cytomata. Now these microfibrils are oriented radially. These microfibrils, these are oriented radially. No, but not longitudinally. So there are some factors which affect transpiration. For example, the factors which affect transpiration are, for example, factors which affect transpiration or humidity, temperature,